Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is the Guilford Board of Education. It is Monday, September 11th. I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to acknowledge that that reading September 11th always gives me pause. So I certainly want to recognize what this day means for our country and for people who lost someone in September 11th. So I do want to acknowledge that. I also want to just identify for our public here and any public viewing. I think there are people who are aware that we have been asked to review 5 books for reconsideration in our libraries and or in one of our English classes. We will be having that discussion at our workshop meeting in 2 weeks. That is a meeting that, of course, the public is welcome to. And I believe it's happening at.
We are going to relocate that to this space in this building. We thought this was a more appropriate and sized venue. We expect there will be some interest in this conversation.
Okay, so I you know, we've been saying for several months, September, and it became clear to us that that we weren't as exact in our messaging as we should have been to let people know. So we just want to make sure that anyone who's interested in attending that meeting, it will be happening here at our workshop meeting in 2 weeks.
So I assume that means the policy committee meeting will also move to this building.
Yes,
That is
prior to, just immediately before, correct?
All right. So action on minutes. Is there a motion to approve the August 14th, 2023 minutes?
So moved. Second.
Are there any corrections or comments on those minutes? Okay, I didn't have any either. So there's a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the Monday, August 14th, 2023 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I abstain.
And there's an abstention. Ms. Peck abstains. Okay. Are there any public comments or topics on the board agenda that anyone would like to address the board with? All right, I am not seeing any. Review and approval of expenditures for the month of August. Ms. Baldwin,
This may be the fastest one ever.
is that right?
The expenditures for the month of August 2023 were $3,262,611.72. This is 13.39% of the budget for this school year, as compared to last year. It was 13. We were at 13.06%. So we're right in line and right on target as we were last year. Revenue for this month was $4,967.80. This includes non-resident tuition as well as pre-K tuition. Salaries, employee benefits, and transportation all approximate the expenditures at this time last year. However, purchase services, supplies and materials. Purchase services, tuition, and capital are all higher. This is partly due to the timing of these payments, as well as waiting for reimbursement on the capital leases. And that's noted also in the warrants. The only thing that I really saw of note in the warrants that I wanted to point out was just that we had to do elevator repairs at 595 New England Road, which is going to be the new administrative offices here. I know that last year there was a proposal for bonding in our budget package, and we to replace the elevator. We did not approve that, and that did not go forward. This is a Band-Aid, and don't know when that's going to need to be fixed or if, and so there's going to be a lot of discussions around that going forward.
And I'm sorry, because this gets a little confusing here. I think tuition is lower than expended than the prior year, but purchase services, supplies, materials, and capital higher.
Sorry, yes.
Okay, yeah, excellent.
Yep.
All right, this was discussed in some detail in the operations committee meeting just prior to this meeting. I don't know if anybody has additional comments or questions on the finances. All right. So is there a motion to approve the August 2023 financial reports for fiscal year 23-24? So
Second.
all those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we are up to communications. Does any of my colleagues have communications that they would like to share with the board tonight?
Okay, I just wanted to say, I think a lot of us have received a handful of communications about the next up and coming calendar year. I'm not sure when that, I can't remember when the decision is made typically, but just some concern about, you know, Guilford kind of being on an island with our start date being after Labor Day and the challenges it poses for some families. So I think there was a hope that there'd be a little further discussion and reevaluating that next year.
Yeah, wonderful. So we typically, I think November, we
Yeah,
typically
so
have that.
I can share that the regional superintendents met on Friday. There is agreement on that template calendar. We have received that from Learn already. So we will likely have draft calendars to the board, if not by your October meeting, then for certain by your November meeting. And yeah, I've seen those communications as well. Some parents concerned about the after Labor Day opening.
We often get parents who also prefer right to before. So just letting people know, we are happy to revisit and have that discussion. We're happy to hear from parents about what works for them. And just note that sometimes we get kind of an even balance of people with different opinions.
So we get parents who say, oh, that last week is really helpful, right?
Right, so, but we will certainly, we want to hear from people, and it really helps, because certainly if there is a significant number of people in the community who want us to reconsider that. And of course, the irony, I feel like when my kids were in school, we started before Labor Day, and a number of areas, he's nodding at me, a number of area schools actually started afterwards. So I feel like we've done a little bit of a flip here, but all right, that's
Yeah, just
terrific.
to add, I heard from some coaches that actually us starting so much later in the region. So the SEC region, it actually affected them being able to schedule meets and games.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that I heard that this year.
Okay, so that's another thing to think about. Excellent. I think I'm just looking at communications as well. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we have received some communications in support of keeping books open and freely accessible to our students and staff. There's been a handful of those probably over the last several weeks.
That's right.
Also along the lines of the calendars, I heard from one parent last week about the fact that there's the parent of a senior who now knows that the graduation date will not change. And so that now that is a hard date, we're not going to have to worry about any cancellations for snow days. That's definitely something that parents are appreciative of.
That is correct.
Yeah.
All right. We don't have our student representatives with us yet. They will be joining us in October. I've actually already heard from them, so they're excited to start, which is great. And we are already then up to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I want to start by talking a little bit about the opening of school this year. I want to begin with convocation. And so a little more than a week ago, we had our faculty and staff return to school. I appreciate the board members who joined us at convocation. In the convocation activities, they were upbeat, they were positive, and we thought that they were really rich, and they have been very well received by staff across the school system. So at convocation, we leaned in this year into the theme of belonging, and we talked about the importance of ensuring that every child in our school system knows that they belong in the Guilford Public Schools. Our students know that they are accepted and celebrated because of who they are in our schools. They are not tolerated in spite of who they are in our schools. Mr. Bowden and I spoke to that theme, and then Dr. Harrison really spent time talking about the social and emotional components of belongingness and the importance of social belonging in school settings. Dr. Harrison talked with staff about the opportunities that he will have to work directly with all of our teachers this year, now on multiple occasions. And so he will be meeting in the early part of the year in early release Wednesdays with the elementary staff, and then with the middle school staffs, and then with the high school staff on 3 of those consecutive Wednesday early release days, talking about the barriers to belongingness in our schools and how we can tear those barriers down and make sure that all of our students know that they belong here. And then particularly exciting, Dr. Goss then talked about the importance of academic belonging as well. And how do we ensure that we hold high expectations for every child, and how does every child know that there is an opportunity and an expectation for them to engage into that academic component as well. We talked about the barriers to traditional classrooms to recognizing and knowing that you belong and you're expected to be thinking hard and working hard in this classroom. And then it was really exciting to watch Dr. Goss take 350 certified teachers and move them to 120 whiteboards that were set up in the gymnasium here in this building, and randomly assigned groups of 3, visibly randomly assigned groups of 3, and giving them a challenge that they needed to work on, illustrating some of the classroom changes that we've seen happening in our schools, happening in classrooms, particularly around math classrooms at the elementary level and at Baldwin, and modeling that for every teacher in the system. And 3 simple structural changes that don't allow students to hide in the classroom. If you think of a traditional classroom where a teacher is doing a lot of talking and 18 or 20 students are doing a lot of listening, it's easy to fall to the back and stay out. But when you're at a whiteboard and there's only 3 of you and you're working on a challenge activity and the teachers aren't giving you the answers to that challenge activity, it's really hard to disappear into the woodwork. Everybody needs to carry their share of that thinking weight. And to see Dr. Goss structure one of those classes with 350 of our certified teachers and faculty on Wednesday, and then to do it again on Friday with about 200 of our non-certified staff who came back, was really exciting. Particularly exciting to see that convocation was done, the activity was finished, we were cleaning up, and there was a group that included 2 of our custodians and 1 of our paraprofessionals who wouldn't let us take their board away because they weren't done and they were still working on the problem. And I think Dr. Goss has been approached by teachers and certain non-certified staff all week long talking about those activities. So I've mentioned to you when we last met that we're going to share one of these thinking classroom opportunities with all of you at an upcoming workshop meeting. It was just really exciting. And again, particularly exciting to be focusing this year on that theme of belonging. And I closed both of the activities by reminding the faculty and staff members there, a sense of belonging, unlike maybe any other resource that I can think of, is not a limited resource. There's not less belonging for anybody because you gave somebody else more than they had before. It's maybe the only resource in the world that the more you give it away, the more it generates and the more there is to be given away moving forward. So we're not just talking about warm fuzzies. We're not just talking about social emotional belonging. We're talking about that really rigorous academic belonging as well. And this is going to be the theme that we keep coming back to through this school year. Earlier today at Baldwin, we jumped into the first professional development activity of the school year. We hosted 3 other school districts. They each brought teams of about 8 or a dozen. We had a team of 8 or a dozen teachers and instructional leaders who were there. And today we began digging into those classroom structures even further. How do we create those classroom environments where every student is challenged, every student is working, everybody's thinking, and everybody knows that they're important and they belong in that setting, and they're expected to do that work as well. So it was really exciting to be part of that learning that's already kicking off at Baldwin. After that, we did bring students back. So after Labor Day, last Tuesday, we brought students back today. We just finished our 5th day of classes. I do want to report right off the bat that buses have run really well for the first week of school. I know I just got really excited about teaching and learning for a few minutes, but all last Tuesday through Friday, I was focused on school buses. The school buses this year have run really well. Mr. Bowden, and particularly Chip Dorwin and Peggy Lindgren. Chip, who works doing bus transportation for us in district, and Peggy Lindgren, who is our manager with specialty transportation, deserve a ton of credit for having runs in place, planned out, drivers ready to go. We didn't face a driver's strike in Guilford. We had bus drivers who were in their driver's seats, smiling and almost on time for all of their stops for the first few weeks of school. We were clearing the roads by the first day of school. All but one bus was clear by 4:45. We had that last bus that didn't clear until 5:15. We bettered that every day. By Friday, I believe we cleared the roads by 4:40, all of our buses. And today it was somewhere around 4:35 or 4:40 again. Those are really good times for the first week of school. So we're really appreciative to our partners at Specialty and really happy that the buses ran as well as they did. We had some challenges with heat last year. Fortunately, in Guilford, all 7 of our school environments are air conditioned. All 7 schools have air conditioning. Last week, on most days, at least 6.5 of those buildings were working, and the air conditioning systems were working well. If you had students at Adams, you know that we were sending some notifications home. We were chasing air conditioning challenges at Adams all week last week. Dr. Mullen and her team did a great job moving students around, getting them to cooler spaces when necessary. We did modify some recess times, and we did modify some athletic practices last week, but we did not have to close school or dismiss early as some other communities have. And that's because of the investment that we've made over years to improving HVAC and bringing air conditioning to all of our schools. It allowed us to make it through last week, even though it was a challenging week. And then most importantly, students were in classrooms and they were smiling. So to see kids in their classrooms, jumping right in, working with their teachers, it was a really positive to opening of school this year. And we're really appreciative of all the support and happy for the first few days that we've had. 175 more to go. They're just going to get better every day from here.
Well,
Counting, I'm excited. They're going to get better and better.
as you know, I'm on this CAVE Guilford, CAVE Board of Ed Chair listserv. And this email came into my inbox last week. And the subject was something about bus strike. And I was like, oh, that is a hard way to start the year.
Settled today, right?
Yes, did.
Did it settle just today?
Yeah.
We were fortunate in a lot of ways. And all of that leads me into the next component. Well, unless there's questions about those first few days.
Just enjoyed seeing you in the morning at the bus stop, so thank you.
I was not there this morning. Lots of parent drop-offs. Yep.
All right.
So earlier tonight, just before this meeting, the board had an opportunity to meet some of the new teachers. This year, I believe we hired, was 32 or 34? 32 certified teaching positions into the district, as well as a significant number of non-certified staffing positions. We're glad that you had the opportunity to meet a number of those new teachers. And we have something a little bit different this year. We have an opportunity for the certified faculty, the certified teaching positions and administrative positions. We're going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves to you, the board, and to the community this year. So this is a little bit different than how we've done it in the past. Yes, thanks, Nancy. Oh.
And A.W. Cox. Hi, my name is Jinjin Lundy. I moved to Connecticut a couple months ago, and this is year 25 for me. I'm super excited to be a second grade teacher at A.W. Cox Elementary.
Hi, my name is Kate Romeo, and I'm going to be a special education teacher at A.W. Cox Elementary this school year. I just moved here from Houston, Texas with my husband and my dog, and I'm really excited for a great school year.
Hi, my name is Kim Wojcik, and I am very excited to be the new kindergarten teacher at A.W. Cox. I live in East Lyme with my husband and 3 children, the oldest of whom we're dropping off at college this week. So it'll be an exciting year full of great new things, and we're looking forward to it.
Hey, I'm Jamie Fronicola. I'm a school psychologist. I'm going to be working at Calvin Lee Elementary and Melissa Jones Elementary. I just moved back to Connecticut from California. I have been out there for the past 8 years. I'm looking forward to working with all of you on the Guilford Public Schools teams. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Bye.
Hi, I'm Marissa Capasso. I'm a Guilford mom of 3 boys. In my free time, I love to spend time with my family and play tennis. I'm so excited to be joining this amazing group of educators. I wish you all a really happy and healthy school year. Thanks for the warm welcome.
I'm Claire Davina, and I'm very excited to start work as a speech language pathologist at Lakes Elementary School. In my free time, I love hanging out with my family, traveling with my friends, and hiking my 2 dogs.
Those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Alex. I've been working for GPS now for 2 years, both as a para and a football and indoor track coach for Guilford High School. I'm extremely grateful to begin my career as a special education teacher for Guilford Lakes. I hope you all have a wonderful fall.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Manzi. I'm the new art teacher at Guilford Lakes, transferring over from Fairfield Public Schools to Guilford, and I'm excited to meet everybody.
Hi, my name is Emily Shea. I am working at Guilford Lakes Elementary this year, and I am a speech language pathologist. I'm coming to Guilford after 2 years of working at a private practice, so I'm really excited for the new adventure, as well as looking forward to meeting all the new faculty, staff, students, as well as the whole school year ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexa Venegas, and I'm going to be teaching 4th grade at Guilford Lakes Elementary School. I'm really excited to collaborate with colleagues and build relationships with my new students in my classroom.
Hi, my name is Martha Jennings. I'm going to be the special education resource teacher at Melissa Jones School. I have been teaching for 8 years, and I was a paraprofessional before that. I attended Guilford Public Schools and benefited from the wonderful education program we have here. I look forward to working and learning with all of you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erin DeClario, and this is Olive, and I'm super excited to be teaching music at Melissa Jones School this fall. Yay!
Hi, Guilford Public Schools. My name is Michael Bridget Chai, and I'm a special education coordinator for both Baldwin and Adams Middle Schools. I live in Niantic with my husband, 2 kids, and 2 dogs. And when I'm not working, I love to travel. We're also a big hockey family, and I am a huge Tampa Bay Lightning fan. Can't wait to meet everyone soon. Go Bolts!
Hi, my name is Kathy Sanchez. I will be the new choir teacher at Adams and Baldwin Middle School. I currently live in Westbrook, and one of the things that's most important to me right now is my baby girl, who is due in October.
Hi, my name is Sandy Leon. I will be working as a special education teacher with 5th grade students over at Baldwin. A little bit about me. My husband and I grew up in Guilford, and now we're raising a few kids here. So Chloe is 14, Bennett is 4, and Reese is 1.
Hi, I'm Michelle Leffrey. This is my dog, Jimmy. And I'm a new special ed teacher in 5th grade at Baldwin Middle School, and I'm excited for a great year.
Hey, My name is Chris Romeo. I'll be working at Baldwin Middle School this fall, and I'm excited to be teaching 5th grade special education.
Hi, my name is Christy Stoddard. Hello to all my Guilford colleagues. I am going to be going back as a special education teacher for my 2nd year, and I'm excited to say that I'm going to be back with my Baldwin family. I hope all of you have a wonderful, safe, productive school year. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Lauren Golden, and I'm going to be teaching 7th grade science at Adams Middle School. This is my 10th year teaching, but I spent the last 9 years teaching biology at the high school level. So I'm really excited for this big change and to be joining the Adams family.
Hi, everybody. My name is Patrick Liacno, and this is my son, Owen. We just moved from Portland, Oregon to Milford, Connecticut. So far, Connecticut has just been amazing. I'm so excited to be joining the team at Adams Middle School as a technology teacher. Oh, and where are we originally from?
We are from Queens.
Let's go Mets!
Hello, my name is Kelly Warren. I'm the newly hired art teacher for Adams Middle. This is going to be my 12th year teaching art to 7th and 8th graders. I hope you all had a great summer. I know I did with my 3 kiddos, and we're looking forward to the start of a brand new school year.
I'm Connor Smith. I'm a new special ed teacher at Adams Middle School, and this is my cat Lila. I just got married in June, so that was really exciting, and I'm excited to start working with everybody.
Hi, my name is Mario Terriaga, and I'm teaching 8th grade science at Adams Middle School. Something that's special to me is the outdoors, camping, and West Rock State Park, because that's where I started trail running. I also really like science and philosophy.
Hello, my name is Megan Chase. I'm very excited to begin working at Guilford High School this year as a lead English teacher. I'll be teaching 9th grade World Humanities and 11th grade American Literature.
Buongiorno, my name is Tina Herbert, and I will be teaching Italian at Guilford High School and at Adams Middle School. I'm super excited, really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. So if you have a chance, swing on by and say ciao.
Hello, I am Catherine Kennedy, Assistant Principal at Guilford High School. I live in Clinton with my 3 children, Gabe, Gio, and Angie, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Haley Smith. I'm going to be a special ed teacher at Guilford High School, and I am super excited to start my teaching career here.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Chibuki. This year I will be teaching English 2 and 11th and 12th grade MBDA courses at Guilford High School. This will be my 9th year teaching. After attending Fairfield U, I taught at Central High School in Bridgeport. Last week, my husband and I bought and moved into our first home together, so it's been an exciting time for us, and I'm very excited to start working in Guilford.
So one of the things that, oh, there's everybody, there's the whole crew. Some observations about the new group. That is a large class that we're bringing in. It's a significant group of new hires that we're bringing in this school year. Particularly exciting to me when you meet those new team members, the number of people who are joining the team as Guilford graduates, Guilford parents, Guilford paraprofessionals who have now moved into teaching positions in our school system after having worked in a different position. But also, and really different for us this year, we are bringing in new staff, new faculty members from Texas, Oregon, Colorado, California, and Florida. We drew from a much broader pool this year than we've had in past years and brought people in from a much wider geographical area than we have in past years. We're really excited to have those folks on board. We appreciate the opportunity you had to meet some of them earlier tonight. We know they're going to add to the quality of the programming here in Guilford.
Questions?
Job well done. We know how difficult this is to staff, and it's just amazing to know that we're full staff.
Been a lot of work in the HR office with the transition of an HR clerk. And so again, Mr. Bowden, Mrs. Trudeau, Mrs. Fiandella all jumped in and made sure that we got through a challenging HR. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, Karen Kyle did a tremendous amount of work covering for a vacancy in the HR office. I think we're conducting interviews again today to fill that position. So there's still more to be done. Thank you.
And are we fully staffed? Do we have a couple of openings or how are we doing?
Thank you. I meant to mention that. So on paper, we are fully staffed. We have
Okay.
one position where we have signed special education teacher. It happened very late in the summer and her current district is holding her until she reaches 30 days of notice or until
Okay.
we have, until they've been able to backfill in their district.
Okay.
But on paper, we are fully staffed in our certified positions as of today. Now,
Excellent.
that's as of this moment. Looking forward, we know that we have some maternities coming up this year. We know that there'll be some illness, there'll be some long-term coverage issues, but as of today, we're covered on paper.
Okay.
Dr. Sweeney, in a typical year, how many certified staff do we wind up hiring? Like if you wanted to be an average over the last 5 years?
We've probably gone into the 30s once or twice before, but rarely. We're usually in the low to mid 20s, I think would be the regular turnover. So significant, but not unprecedented. And I think you may have noticed as well, a number of those hires coming from other districts with some significant years of experience behind them, rather than a smaller pool in the low 20s, predominantly of people who are beginning their teaching career. We do have a few of those, but as I mentioned at the last meeting, there's quite a bit of mid-career movement that is happening as a result of all of the vacancies that are available. And so some districts are offering hiring bonuses. Lots of people are finding districts closer to their homes. There's a lot of movement happening within the teaching ranks, as well as folks retiring out and new folks coming in. Principals did a fantastic job identifying the candidates and are prepared to start supporting these teachers as we move forward. And Dr. Goss and Mr. Bowden spent 2 days with all of these new teachers before convocation. So Monday and Tuesday of that week, new teacher orientation was happening in the room, and then convocation and professional development that following Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Great. It is nice, as you mentioned, to see the number of new staff who, as you said, are either Guilford grads or parents in the community here. And that's just good to see.
It is, it's really exciting.
Right.
I also wanted to give you another brief update on enrollment. So the board knows that I spoke to this at your last meeting, and the board knows that your next meeting after October 1st will be the official enrollment reports. But I did want to touch again because we were watching some grade levels very carefully as we settled in. District-wide enrollment is down slightly. We're down 20 or 30 students overall as we graduated a large class and brought in a smaller kindergarten class this year. In fact, the kindergarten class that we brought in this year is even smaller than last year's kindergarten class. We enrolled 211 kindergartners last year who are currently first graders. We only enrolled 202 kindergartners this year. Class sizes at the high school and both middle schools are right in our target areas. By average, class sizes at the elementary level are actually smaller than they have been in some years. From K through 4, our average class size is 17 this year. We had been running more at 18 and a half. The challenge for some of those grade levels has been in distribution, particularly in kindergarten. Across those K through 4 classrooms, the largest class size that we have K through 4 are some 4th grade classes that sit at 21 at this moment. And the smallest class that we have are some kindergarten classrooms that sit at 13. So that's the variation from 13 to 21 and an average of 17.1. The biggest variation does fall at the kindergarten level. At kindergarten level, we've got some classes of 13 and we've got some other classes of 18 and one class at the kindergarten level that is currently at 19. We were watching this very carefully as the summer got older, because we know that if those class sections begin to hit 20, that's the moment that we begin to look at adding additional staffing. We've committed to the community that we will keep kindergarten classrooms in the teens. We have achieved that this year, but with some broader variation than we would have liked. In fact, the board is aware that in a very unusual offer, we actually reached out to kindergarten parents in the Cox School and offered to enroll some of those students into the elite classrooms to try to take advantage of that capacity that we had and bring some of those class sizes down. We had a very small number of parents who took advantage of that offer. We're going to continue to keep an eye on those Cox classrooms, but now that we're 5 days in, we do not anticipate that we will be seeing an influx of 5 or 6 more kindergartners at that grade level. It is very likely that those are the numbers that we will see. Mrs. Hammond and her team are ready to be supportive of those teachers. We've had kindergartens of that size in the past. So again, we're going to continue to keep an eye on that. It's just impossible to take 13 sections and make them completely equal when they're in 4 neighborhood-based schools. If we had 1 kindergarten campus, we'd have completely equal class sizes of 16 or 17 this year. It's difficult to do when you've got neighborhood schools. And so again, overall, the numbers are really, really positive this year. Even class sizes of 21 and even kindergartens of 18 and 19 are in fact really positive class sizes when compared to state averages. So we will keep an eye, we'll make sure that all students are supported, and we will update this board again after the October 1st official numbers are in.
And all of those numbers are within our Board of Ed recommended class size policies. So
they are. They fall within your recommended
So,
class sizes. They fall within the teacher contract, and again, they're really positive when compared against state averages.
oh, absolutely. But you know, as you said, and we've said this, I feel like we say this every year, right? There's this distribution with 4 different elementary schools that happens, and it doesn't necessarily happen evenly, but even a class of 19 at kindergarten is below the 20 Board of Ed recommended limit. So that's good. That's great. All right. Are there questions on enrollment?
Should any of those families at AW Cox choose to take up the offer after the fact now, will it still be accepted?
It'll be entertained. After this first day of school, that might be slightly more challenging, but again, we have classes that change when new families move into the community, when families relocate within Guilford. So we would certainly entertain that conversation. I'm not sure. We'd have to look at the other factors. We'd have to look at the moment in time, but it's certainly something that we would entertain and we would consider seriously.
I was just gonna ask if the very limited number of people from Cox that are taking advantage of going over to Lee, are those pupils gonna stay at Lee through 4th grade?
Yes, that is a 5-year commitment on our part, that if they took advantage of that invitation, it was not just for kindergarten, that they'd be able to stay there. That comes without school bus transportation. To begin pulling apart the districts of the neighborhoods and changing the bus routes would be challenging and confusing at this time, but any families who could provide their own transportation and thought that it would be beneficial had the opportunity to take advantage of that offer. That is, it's an unprecedented offer. But we thought that it was a creative way to try to take advantage of some of the capacity without simply throwing money at a situation that actually falls within the board guidelines. And we wanted to be careful. Again, the average class sizes this year are smaller than they were last year. We need to be responsible to our students first, but also to the larger community fiscally as well. And so we've tried really hard to balance those concerns.
Yeah. Other comments or questions on enrollment? Excellent. All right. And then you have one more item.
I have one more item, which I'm going to require some assistance with. And so Dr. Orgavan is joining us to give you an update on the summer learning pathways, which in an older, more boring time might have been referred to as summer school. Here we have summer learning opportunities, pathways, and Dr. Orgavan was responsible for that program this summer and has graciously agreed to join us and give us an update tonight. Thank you, Jen.
I'm so excited to be here to be able to share with you about the summer's pathways program. So just a general outline for this summer, we had 4 weeks, 4 in-person learning days per week, Monday through Thursday. We met from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. This year we had 220 students, grades K through 10. That's a 37.5% increase from last year. 14 different learning pathways with 18 teachers. We had 6 high school volunteers who earned hours for their graduation requirements. There were 40 students that participated in the Park and Rec aftercare program. There was a wait list for that program. These are the different pathways students were invited to participate in. There were different bands from K through 1 through 9th through 10th grade. And those are rising kindergartners through rising 10th graders. So ages range from 4 to about 15. And then you add the volunteers, and we had quite a range this summer. It was very exciting. Pathways are project-based learning opportunities, and teachers have lots of guests that come in. This year, again, we had Meigs Point Nature Center come in, the GHS Robotics Club, we had environmentalists come to speak, students, a farmer came to speak, a teacher who was on an African safari shared their experience, and it was very exciting summer. We had the opportunity to also do some assessments for our rising kindergartners and first graders to see if there was any summer slide or how the program impacted their early literacy. So we see that students had correct letter sound recognition improved or stayed consistent 85% of the time. Words reported correctly, 92%, and word reading fluency 74%. And anybody that had a decline, it was 2 to 3 students per grade. And again, those are rising kindergartners and first graders having this first time experience. We ask parents and students and teachers to provide feedback. So we have some sampling of feedback from this summer. Parents expressed that some of the benefits of participating in the Summer Learning Pathways program included pride, that their child, after dedicating and completing her project, felt a lot of pride. She had an opportunity to work with new people and make new friends. And that really goes along with the theme this year of belonging. This was a fun and engaging opportunity. I'm so grateful to be part of the district that provides this opportunity to all students. Another parent reported, and another parent said, can't wait until next year. Students in grades 5 through 10 had an opportunity to provide feedback. One student reported that teamwork is better working than working alone. I love making the model, and figuring out how to build their project was the hardest part of the pathway. Another student requested that we build a wave pool at Guilford High School for another time. Budget. Teacher feedback included, because this is what we've talked about this last year, that for teachers, this is a learning laboratory because we're applying the universal design of learning components and project-based learning into the summer learning pathways. So teachers shared that the universal design of learning helped to keep the focus on the engineering design process, and the students became good at stopping to examine their work and test it out to try to improve their plan and structures. Another teacher reported that her students really love the project-based approach to their learning. Not only did they have to do lots of understanding and building their skills more independently than in the past, but as a teacher working as a facilitator, they were really able to sharpen critical learning and research skills that benefit them moving forward in GHS and beyond. And then finally, this is a truly collaborative endeavor. I can't thank enough the Summer Learning Pathway teachers, the Guilford High School for offering us the use of the facilities, the administration support at Guilford High School, the custodians, the administrative assistants were fabulous. The Office of the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Goss and Kathy Creechy, Office of Support Services, Jason Scaziano and Maureen Spinato, the nurse, GPS technology department is integral. The literacy coaches were vital. Guilford Park and Rec's important partnership supporting students after school, after the program, and sometimes taking them to Jacob's Beach. And then, of course, the parents and students. It was a very exciting, it was a hot summer, but we made it through and the kids were wonderful. Thank you for the support.
So 220 students is a lot of students. That is really
Yes.
terrific.
We've seen the numbers grow.
Do we know what constitutes the 37% increase? I mean, that's incredible.
From what I gather from conversations with parents, it's a lot of word of mouth.
Right, yes.
So we went from 90 the first year to 160 the next year to 220 this past summer.
I think the project-based design, I think that they are not a typical classroom structure, and I think word of mouth that it's not a boring summer
To your
school.
point, it's not summer school.
It's a different,
Yeah.
it's not a boring summer school. It's an exciting opportunity. And I think that we're seeing the numbers grow. And again, the model here is not remediation. The model here is to give students grade level standards aligned work and give them more opportunities to build those academic muscles. We're not specifically going in and trying to remediate what maybe the students didn't master last year. They're getting grade level work, it's engaging work, it's stuff that they're excited about doing, and they're building their academic habits and muscles through the extra contact time.
And these are our teachers doing this work in these classrooms.
Represented from across the district, all grade levels, all schools.
That's wonderful.
So my daughter was lucky enough to be asked to help out. She was one of the volunteers, and I think she got as much joy out of it as the kids she was helping out. It was really great to see her kind of grow like that.
That's a great way to involve kids too.
Those are community service hours. Awesome.
And then that is only one of the summer learning opportunities. I know that Dr. Goss has spoken about these before, but do you mind just reminding the board and the community about the other summer learning opportunities that took place?
Sure, we had extended school year. There were about 100 students who participated for 6 weeks, half days. And they were actually in some of the same spaces, but they were participating in programs that were specific to their individual education plans. And then we also had the teacher learning component, the Professional Learning Academy, which started out with 13 offerings. We ran 5 of them for about 30 teachers. And the exciting part about that is that there were 2 sessions each day for 2 days. And we found that teachers came for the first one, and then they asked if they could stay for the next one, and then they asked if they could come back the next day and sort of build on the learning that they had. So they got hooked, and that was what we were looking for.
We don't shut down over the summer, so there's extended year opportunities for students with special education needs and IEPs. There are learning pathways for any student who wants to continue their schooling experience, and then there are professional learning opportunities for our teachers. So while it's a smaller program over the summer, we don't close the doors over the summer. We're still working through those summer months, and with lots of appreciation to Mr. Scanziano and to Dr. Orgaman and to Dr. Goss, who are responsible predominantly for running those programs with the support of our own teaching staff.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, any other questions or?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
great to hear about it.
And that does conclude my rather lengthy report tonight.
Neat.
Dr. Freeman, just a question about the new security personnel.
Thank you. Yep, so I appreciate the question. Safety monitors. Yes, and so we did discuss this some at the operations meeting. I apologize for missing it on my report, but I'm happy to inform the community and to remind the board and to apologize for not making this more clear to the board. But this year, in addition to the certified staff that you saw, I mentioned a number of non-certified positions. This year, that includes an increase of 8 safety monitors that we are placing in our schools. But previously, we had 2 of those positions that were located here at the high school exclusively, and those used to be positions that were titled hall monitors. We have extended the number of those positions, extended the responsibilities of those positions, and repackaged those as safety monitors, not hall monitors. I want to be very clear. These are monitor positions. We are not talking about armed security guards. We're not talking about security guards in any sense. We're talking about monitors who are in the buildings to support the principals in providing consistently safe environments. So the responsibilities for those individuals begin and end with arrival and dismissal times. They're there to help facilitate parent drop-off, bus arrival. During the school day, they are there to interact with students and to be an additional set of eyes to help the principal, to be in the hallway, monitoring as students are moving throughout the building, to be moving around the perimeter of the building, checking all exits and entrances and ensuring that they are locked and appropriately locked during the course of the school day. If there are adults in the building who are not appropriately badged as visitors, politely engaging with those adults and redirecting them to the office to go through the appropriate visitor entrance procedures that we have, communicating with the principals about what is happening in the school during the school day. It's really important to note, and I think at times even my own language has been sloppy. These are not security positions, these are not student discipline positions, and these are not guards. These are safety monitors. This year in particular, it's important to note, and it's important to thank the town. This year, those positions are being paid for. All of those salaries are being covered this year through the town of Guilford, through ARPA funding that is still available at the town level. As we move through this year's budget process, we will talk more about these, because if we decide to continue these positions, we will have to build them into our local operating budget and take on the expense of those positions. So I think because of the town funding, we did not highlight these positions as much as we should have during the budget process, and that was my oversight, and I apologize about that. I'm excited that we're bringing more adults into the buildings to make sure that we're providing those safe opportunities. And I'm really pleased that in partnering with the town and with the police department, we're doing that in a way that is positive and constructive. We are continuing to look to build the number of school resource officers in our buildings over the next 2 years, but not bringing in armed guards to do that work. We've also this year expanded the number of cameras available in all of our schools, and we're working on ways to use technology to leverage those cameras to be proactive as well as reactive parts of our security process. So I really appreciate the question, meant to mention that myself, and thank you for reminding me.
And what are the credentials that the safety monitors need to have? Like, are they like, can I apply to be one? Like, is it sort of, you don't necessarily have to have a safety background?
You do not have to have a law enforcement or military or security background to apply for any of these positions. We began posting for these positions last year. Mr. Bowden met with all the candidates and vetted the pool, and then principals were able to meet candidates and make decisions from that vetted and approved pool that Mr. Bowden had provided to them. I don't know if there's anything additional about the.
Only the only thing I'll add is there, another set of eyes, especially when our kids are out on recess or have PE classes out there. Whenever they are out checking the doors in the building, they're also providing, another set of eyes while, like I said, while our students are outside, as well as when they're, out in the parking lots and so forth.
Perhaps one of the best examples is that I stopped at Cox Elementary School, and before entering the building, I walked over to the fence because recess was going on and I wanted to spend a few minutes watching kids playing on the playground. And while I was leaning on the fence, within about 30 seconds, an adult came over to me and said, "Good morning," introduced themselves to me and asked who I was and if I had business at the school. That's exactly what we want happening and the way we want it happening. And so it just made me smile. So I got to introduce myself to the new employee and appreciated what took place and how it took place. And so that's exactly what we're looking for from these positions.
That's great. That's very funny.
Thank you for the question. I appreciate that.
Any other? All right. So up to the board agenda 9.1 to act on personnel items. We are being asked, and many of these names we just saw through the the video. You're asking me to ratify the appointment of the following teachers. Conchetta Fazio, who I think also introduced herself as Tina Hurlbert. We see her that name as well here. JHS Adams, Italian teacher. Diane DeBreezy, Melissa Jones, Special Education. Haley Smith, Guilford High School Special Education. Jinjin Lundy, A.W. Cox, grade 2. Brittany Mancy, Guilford Lakes Art. Connor Smith, Adams Middle School Special Education. Alexa Venegas, Guilford Lakes grade 4. Jennifer Landry, Guilford High School Special Education, and Martha Jennings, Melissa Jones, Special Education. Is there a motion to ratify the appointment of these teachers?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, that's unanimous. And then we're being asked to ratify the resignation of 2 teachers. Mary Guarnieri, Cox, grade 2, 11 years of service in Guilford, and Betsy Vaughn, Melissa Jones, Special Education, 14 years of service in Guilford. Is there a motion to ratify the resignation of these 2 teachers?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And certainly thank you to both of them for their years of service in Guilford. All right. Next, 9.2, we're being asked to receive for possible action an extension, an expansion of the Slim Nation program. I unfortunately missed the operations committee meeting. You may have discussed this there as well.
Yeah, we did. As a matter of fact, it's a program that's currently in use. Is the 3rd year, I believe, we've been doing it. Is that correct?
It's the third round.
Third round.
Last year.
And we've, it's been met with, a huge success. As a matter of fact, there's a poundage on the success now. I think we've, as a town, collectively lost over 300 pounds. So the program is working and the program is really well liked, and this is the opportunity to expand the program.
Excellent. So we are being asked to consider 20 of the 40, and Mr. is going to correct me if I misspeak, 20 of the 40 new participants at $550 each, and 20 out of 40 of existing participants at $300 each. So the explanation here is that this is a joint kind of collaborative approach to participation with the Board of Selectmen, with the town. And so they get 20 spots. Correct. And Board of Employees get 20 spots. Again, since I wasn't in the operations committee meeting tonight, is there any conversation that I should be aware of before
I think the one thing that I'll add and why I like this is it's actually a proactive approach to health, and so what we're doing, is really, allowing people to sign up for the program, and we're approaching those health issues head on with a really great program. So fully in favor of it.
And I'll add, Dr. Bell Tracy, that we are self-funded for our medical insurance, and the cost associated with does not come out of our school operating budget. It comes out of the medical insurance fund. And so to the point, these are dollars that would be drawn from that fund for somebody's medical visits or interventions or medications. We're drawing from that same fund for a proactive approach. And I think that it's just a good way to be spending those dollars. And it's important to note they don't come out of our operational budget.
Excellent. And we did, the board did receive a page of feedback from a number of individuals who participated, really positive feedback about the program. All right. Did anybody have any questions about this before I call a vote? Comments? All right. So again, we're being asked to approve the Board of Ed participation in the Slim Nation program to allow for up to 20 new participants and 20 existing participants to be able to extend their participation. Is there a motion to approve this request?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, that's unanimous. Wonderful. Okay, so we are up to number 10, reports of committees. Does the policy committee have anything?
No.
And we will be again in 2 weeks.
I did notice that we have many things to replace in our policy manual after all your committee's hard work.
Yes.
Okay,
So next meeting, just again, is getting moved back from LEAT to GHS, and that will be in 2 weeks.
okay, wonderful. And I do want to say, I'm going to take this opportunity. The meeting is Tuesday, September 26th.
Okay.
So not only will the policy committee and then our workshop meeting be in this building. Right, it is going to be on Tuesday, September 26th because of the holiday on Monday.
Right.
So we'll need to make sure to remind people of that. Mr. Del Ventura, Operations Committee, anything else to?
A shorter
report out?
meeting because we had the opportunity to meet the new staff, but in the hour, we covered a lot of facility updates. I think the key takeaways are, we had our team working extra hard to get our Baldwin kitchen ready for opening day. So above all else, there's a lot of projects still going on, but all really on the right track. So
Wonderful.
very busy summer for our facilities team.
Okay, Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Committee, Dr. Hirsch? Nothing to report out. Okay. Liaison to town committees?
No update.
No updates for any? Okay. And the one board of directors? No. So we are now at 11 on our agenda, public comments. If there are folks who would like to address the board, this does not have to be related to agenda items. Again, I just want to note, we're going to ask people to limit to 3 minutes, which will allow everyone, I think, a chance to speak. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to inform the board about their views. It is the role of the board to listen to public comments. The board will refrain from answering questions or engaging in dialogue with the commenters to allow the public to have their full amount of time. So anyone who'd like to address the board tonight, please feel free to come up. We ask if you would to give your name and address for record in the minutes.
Would you like me to keep track?
Anita Porter, 135 Maryland. Hello again. This is our last opportunity to address the board before you do make your decisions. The challenge folks, I would personally like to thank Danielle Scarpellino for making this challenge because I'm in 2 book clubs that I've made wonderful friends, met wonderful people, many of whom are here tonight. It is so exciting to me. I've learned so much more about the books. And the only other thing I really want to say is we talk a lot about the slippery slope, and some of that isn't really clear. And then last week, when Houston schools removed libraries from the school building, there are no books in some of the Houston, Texas schools, except for the ones that the teachers or other staff can hand them. No books. And what's worse, they're using the space as a disciplinary area. Also, they said for gifted children, but it is mostly used in a Black community, and it's mostly used to be disciplined. So now kids say, I'm going to the library, they say I'm going to detention, whatever. That's the kind of slippery slope we're talking about. It's real, it's happening. So I just want to beg this board not to make any further restrictions and not to remove any books that staff that have been trained and that you have hired have made the decision to give our children access to it. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to?
Dana Reget, 76 Three Corners Road. I support respect for all people and common sense solutions to problems. I do not support the challenge of 5 books as sexually graphic and do not support the proposed solutions to make the books difficult for students to access and require parental notification. I've read all 5 books in the book club. 4 novels with main characters who are people of color or gay. One is a nonfiction book about sexual health, which means it will, of necessity, talk explicitly about sexuality. This book also discusses gender and same-sex sexual relations. Maybe the individual bringing these book challenges really is opposed to the mostly minor sexually explicit passages in the novels. But it is striking to me that no book with heterosexual white characters was challenged. As we read in the national news, the novels challenged in Guilford are also the ones being challenged or banned for their empathic descriptions of Black and LGBTQ characters. I support respect for our school librarians who choose books representative of many perspectives for school libraries. I support respect for all people, and especially for groups that are actively being marginalized and vilified by some people in our society. This includes respect for Black people and all people of color, and for people who identify as LGBTQ. Finally, I support common sense solutions to problems. Let's avoid adding layers of bureaucracy by expecting librarians to make certain books difficult to access or requiring librarians to notify parents. Instead, let's encourage parents to talk to their adolescents about the books that they are reading and encourage parents to actively share their perspectives and values with their adolescents and avoid these other layers. I ask you as members of the Board of Education to show respect for all by leaving these books in the school libraries and to find common sense solutions for the concern that the challenger is raising. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Amy Trish, 311 Schoolside Lane. Good evening. Thank you to the board members and hello to everyone else. I'm here tonight because as much as I hate public speaking, I hate the idea of banning books even more. Banning books is not a new idea, but has never been a good one. Throughout history, certain groups have endorsed book banning and even book burnings. Banning books is a way to control the thoughts of others. I don't know about you, but I want my child to learn to have his own thoughts and opinions. There are those who claim that they don't want others influencing how their children think, but by trying to ban books, that's exactly what they're doing. Reading books about various subjects with diverse characters and struggles and issues is an excellent way for adolescents and young adults to learn about the world around them and form their own opinions. If a parent has a concern about a certain book, they should by all means speak to their own child about their concerns, and if they choose, not let their child read the book. However, they should not stop others from reading a book just because they don't approve of it. Also, and some may disagree with me here, but it might be useful to read a book that you find concerning with your child so you can discuss your concerns with them. Another thing that was just pointed out, many of the books on this list also have main characters who are part of the LGBTQ community. We know that LGBTQ teenagers have a much higher risk of suicide than other adolescents. Anything that could lower this risk, including having access to books with characters similar to themselves, should be promoted rather than banned. Also, to me, the idea of limiting an adolescent who wants to read very much unsettles me. We should be encouraging them to read as much as possible, even if it's not content that we would choose to. I also wanted to take a moment to speak in particular about one of the books. The majority of the books that were challenged are fiction, but the book It's Perfectly Normal is a nonfiction resource based on scientific facts. I'm a pediatrician, and this book is often recommended by myself and many my colleagues as an excellent resource for teaching older children and adolescents. And the idea of banning such an excellent resource that consists solely of facts is extremely upsetting and honestly terrifying. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Faye Robinson, 115 Center. I'm Faye, as I said. I'm in 8th grade, and as long as I can remember, I loved books. Books have been my escapism paradise from the world when I needed it, and they've always meant so much to me. So today I'd like to talk to you about one of the books which has impacted me recently. I'm talking about a book called Flamer. Flamer, as you may know, is a young adult graphic novel centering around a gay teen, Aiden Navarro, who at camp is lonely, depressed, and more than a little unhappy with his life. Despite the sound of it, I consider it an excellent book with important themes. First, please allow me to address that some people here may know Flamer from the excerpt of it, where some of the boys from Aiden's Boy Scout group are masturbating together. But please note that this isn't what this book is about. If you only look at the excerpt from the book out of context, you don't know that the main character actually denies joining them and reaffirms his bodily autonomy by telling them that no, he will not join them. If one only looks at that part of the book, you can't understand the main picture. So instead of looking at that excerpt alone, I would like to tell you all about another part of Flamer, which, having read it, I feel represents the book much better. In one scene towards the end, Aiden walks toward the chapel at his Boy Scout camp, knife in hand, fully intending to slit his wrists. The scene fades to black and he's about to do it. But from out of the dark, a fire rushes towards him, coalescing into a person. It comes toward him and declares itself to be the flame of life, refusing to let him kill himself and the spirit in the process. Aiden explains that his life has been so hard on him and there's so much that has gone wrong. The flame of life reassures him that so many of his problems could be fixed. There is so much that could be salvaged from the wreckage of his life. Finally, the flame of life is able to convince him, and Aiden leaves the knife at the chapel, finding that his friends have come to get him. But even this powerful scene doesn't fully do it justice either. So let me tell you what I think that Flamer is about. Flamer is about teachers that words have a real impact. Sure, you can have teachers say this, but it doesn't really mean much until you watch Aiden nearly kill himself because of the way some of the kids in his group treat him. This is also a novel about not completely knowing how to fit in or who you are. And this is a novel that I believe teens should be exposed to. Why? Because it's so much more than one scene. Because the way you see this book, what the message is, ultimately depends on who you are, what you need to hear. I can't tell anyone how to see this book. That's up to them. But I can tell you that there are plenty of teens who I wish could and would read this book. Just ask all the kids in my grade who keep hearing gay being used as an insult. This is one of the reasons Aiden is nearly driven to suicide, by the way. Just ask the kids with the mental health issues who need support and guidance in their darkest hour. While discussing this issue, please ask yourself who might need to hear this message, that there is light in the darkness. In fact, in the author's note, the author explains that he too nearly killed himself on the steps of Camp Chapel. What a powerful message it is to kids going through this, that this person survived and thrived enough to write this book.
Okay, you are at 3 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank
Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, the public. It's kind of hard now. I feel like I'm going to be a broken record player for anyone who remembers what a record player is. I'd like to start off by saying that, sort of on opinion is the lowest form of human knowledge. It requires no accountability, no understanding, whereas the highest form of knowledge is empathy, which requires us to suspend our egos. That's from George Eliot, that's not me. The idea that we're going to ban books is hypothetical. It's terrifying. I don't want to run running the risk of whatever all the other those that's got up to speak today, but without getting to the specifics of each of the books, we run the risk of suppression of free speech. of censorship generally, stifling creativity. Altering historical perspective and having the access to different types of books prevents us from running the risk of being pigeonholed into what we classify as the history is written by the winners. There are no winners when winners write the history. We miss educational opportunities when we ban books. To think that all that we lose if we take things out of the libraries. And to further speak on the strengthening of existing cultural, societal, socioeconomic taboos that only seem to be strengthening as we go on. I spoke with this last time I had the opportunity to speak before the board, but as a parent, I think it's incumbent on each of us to monitor what our children read. And it's not just what we read, not what our children read, it's what they see on the television, it's the games they play, it's what they see on the internet, what they watch on the internet, what they read on the internet. It's who they associate in school and outside of school. To put a book on the library, I related to a friend of mine recently. When I was in high school, the only time I came to the library was to run to hide from the bullies because I knew they weren't coming into the library. So to take books off of the shelves doesn't help anyone. It just hurts our society as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, David Malillo, 135 Merritt Lane. I'm still reeling from that young woman's piece. That was amazing. That's reflective of the middle school. That's pretty amazing. I want to once again thank you for the work that you do, the hard work that you do, and the hard work that you've done while you were being harassed. So thanks for that. And I also want to remind you that there's a tremendous amount of support for what you're doing within this community. Not let a small group squeaky wheel type people have too much influence in the community. When it comes to the books, it seems to me here and across the country that everything is about sexuality and race, and there's a real desire to cover that up, put that away. And I don't totally understand it. I think part of it is based on reality, can make their straight white children feel awkward in terms of looking at some of this stuff. I don't think that that's a good reason to do it. I think you need to get through things, not avoid them. But it is a pretty orchestrated attempt across the whole country to kind of close up or shut down the fan or challenge books about people who are minorities that have been oppressed. And I think it's very, very important that you realize that when people write of their difficulties or their oppression and their life, we don't need to get rid of those books for that purpose. And that would just be sort of a disservice to what's going on. And say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else who would like to address the board this evening? All right. We have come to the end of our meeting tonight. Again, I will remind folks that while the Next, policy committee and workshop meetings, I think have been advertised as being held at LEAT. They will be held at Guilford High School, right where we are now. And we certainly always welcome you to attend. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you.